Hey everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy. Today I'm checking out the Voices of the Empire instrument from EastWest Sounds. So right up front, let me show you something I composed with this instrument along with some strings and storm drums from the EastWest collection. Voices of the Empire is an incredible collection of sample based voice recordings by Uyanga. She's a singer and a voice artist and a recording artist. And these come together to create this really cool multi ethnic voice instrument that's great for film scoring and cinematic sounds. Uyanga has an incredibly unique voice too, and this instrument draws from various ethnic musical traditions, including Bulgarian, Serbian, and Mongolian styles. So I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel in the video description below if you want to go check her out. Okay, so let's get into this. Like all East-West instruments, we have to load up the play instrument. So I've done that already on the track. And then what we do is we go to Browser, and then we go down to the bottom here, and we choose Voices of the Empire. Now, you'll see that there's a bunch of different folders full of different patches. But the cool thing is the vast majority of this library is under the key switch folder, and this is grouped into 5 different main patches. So we have Legato, Melisma, Phrases, Sustain, and Words. Let's start with Legato. So I'm going to hit Replace to replace my current patch here. And all of these are key switch patches. And if you're not familiar with key switching, it's a MIDI function that allows you to switch between different sets of samples, kind of like different layers of samples based on a key press. And those key switch presses are usually in the lower octaves of the keyboard. So you can see here in white, these are all of our regular usable pitches. But down here in blue, these are our key switches, and there's 3 of them: C, C sharp, and D. So if I go up to the player view, you'll see those 3 key switches shown as articulations. So C0 is an U legato, C sharp is an O legato, and D0 is an A legato. So let's try this out. Let's go C. So that's the U. C sharp is the A, or the O rather. And D is the A. Now you can use these key switches just one at a time like I'm doing, just clicking on each one individually and switching to that set of samples. Or what you can do is you can play it in real time on your MIDI controller, or you can actually record it in and type it in as MIDI data in your MIDI sequence. So you can program these key switches in real time so that you can have the U, O, and A all within the same performance. Now I'm going to go back to the browser, and we're going to check out the Melisma's patch here. So go ahead and replace that with our current patch. And you'll see we get several more key switches. So each of the key switches in the Melisma's patch has a different tone and inflection to it. So let's just start with C0 here, and let's see what this sounds like. And let's switch to another one. Switch to F. Yeah, there we get some really distinct inflections and vibrato. Let's try another one. Yeah, there we get something that's almost like a flute-like sound. So that's the Melisma's patch. You get individual notes, each with their own inflection, and there's a whole bunch of different types of inflections to choose from. Each one's different, and each one is unique, which is really cool. And again, keep in mind, you can play the key switches in just like you would regular notes to switch between them in real time or on your MIDI track. Okay, so let's go over to phrases. Now, this is my favorite patch of the 5. Phrases is a collection of real recorded, real-time phrases, not just individual notes and inflections, actual phrases. And each note has a different phrase. Now that's cool on its own, but each of the key switches represent the tonic or root note of the key of each one of those performances, each one of those phrases. So this is really cool. If I choose a key switch on the note C, that means all of these different phrases up here all have a root note of C. If I choose F up here, now this whole collection, it basically loads a whole new collection of phrases with all that all have a root note or a root key of F. Now, for my composition, I chose D minor, is the key of all the strings and everything. So I chose D when I composed this one, and I ended up with something like this when I triggered each one of these different phrases. And then it just so happens that all of those fit my music, which was in the key of D minor specifically as well. So again, each one of these key switches pertains to a different note or a different root note or key. So this is my favorite one, is the phrases patches. There's the sustain patches. Let's load those up. These are kind of like legato, but they are not synthesizer legato, meaning that you're not going to find a glide between the different notes. But there's a whole bunch of different front-end vowel sounds. You have ahs, e's, o's, some more ahs. So starting off here, we have some ahs if we choose the C0 patch or the C0 key switch. On D0, we have an E patch, an E vowel. And you'll see some of them say non-vibrato, others say sustained vibrato. So the ones with VIB on them that say sustained vibrato, those are the ones that have vibrato on them. Some of them have some little slurs in them too, like G sharp 0 here. Let's click on G sharp 0. There's a little bit of a slur at the beginning of each one of those notes. So those are the sustain patches. And lastly, we have the words patch. And what this one does, you'll notice it gives us a whole bunch of different key switches. Each one of these key switches is a different word or a different front end consonant sound on each one of the notes. So starting on the bottom one here. Let's go to the one that's a little more noticeable. Let's jump up to A here. Yeah, this one has a very noticeable front end articulation on it. Now, the cool thing about the words patch is this actually utilizes the modulation wheel as well. With the modulation wheel down, you get that front end articulation on the note. With the modulation wheel up, after about third of the way up the modulation wheel, you lose that articulation. But then you move the modulation wheel back down and you get it back in again. So this can be used so maybe you just want the front end of your phrase to have that front end articulation with the rest of the melody without it. And there's a whole bunch of different ones here. Let's try another one here. Yeah, that one has sort of like a scoop up on ya. Let's try another one here. Yeah, it's sort of like a ka on the front end of it. And then without modulation wheel, it's more of just an off, like a softer ah sound. So yeah, Voices of the Empire is a great instrument, a great sampled vocal instrument from EastWest Sounds. Once again, as with everything they have, I'm very impressed with the quality of these sounds. And to be fair, sample-based voice instruments are incredibly difficult to get to sound right, and it takes a fair amount of work on the composition and MIDI side to make everything ebb and flow together naturally. But with some hard work and some meticulous MIDI editing workflow, you can get some really great sounds here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.